All right, it's 2:02. Welcome everybody. Thank you for turning up. Let's go over this checklist feature. Now, the beauty about this checklist feature is the checklist feature is actually related literally to all the other major registers inside the system. So if I select, I'm just going to edit this one instead of starting a new one, because in this feature here, I've actually added every kind of combination of these new kind of things that you can do inside the system here. Now, if you've got a checklist and it's solely related to, like, say, for an example, if you've only got one site, you would relate it to your global site and you would close that field. If you're multi-site and you've actually got, different sites in different states, as a lot of clients do, you could actually relate it to your global site and open that field. That means this is going to, in the view section, will create a drop-down list. The same thing for an activity. But the most kind of processes, well, the most used kind of way the checklist feature is used is relating to a pre-start checklist relating to a machine. So you would actually select the machine. It's a good idea to close that field. Yes, you can open it, but the problem is if you've got multiple items, when you actually select the view section or scan the QR code, it's going to create a drop-down list, but it's going to create a drop-down list of all those plant and equipment items. Now, you probably don't want that. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but I've actually got so many items which are the same items. Well, you'll see later when I actually go through it that you can actually copy this checklist. So building one checklist as a template and then actually copying in and doing it 10 times or 15 times is going to take you literally a couple of minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So depending on how many items you want to copy. So it's a good idea to close it. The reason being is because it stops the end users, just stops that error kind of process. They scan the QR code, it's related to that machine. They don't have to select another machine, which they might get wrong. It's just solely related to that machine, and it'll actually save it against that machine. So every single time that you select one of these fields, it doesn't just save it in the checklist log, it'll actually save it against that item. So if you've related it to an activity, it will actually relate it to the activity. So a lot of people who maybe be in construction or they're using safe work method statements, as I say to them, I said, the best thing for you to do, upload your safe work method statement into the safe work method activity register, then build a checklist and relate it to that activity and close the field. And then build it, have you read the safe work method statement? Are you wearing the appropriate So you can actually relate it to an activity, or again, you could do the same thing for a chemical and relate it to a chemical. You might actually open that field because depending on how many chemicals you have, you're looking at, the beauty about that is that you can actually do a handling procedure relating to a chemical. So building a kind of process relating to your safe work method statement would be for the activity, building a pre-start checklist relating to your machine, and building a handling procedure relating to your chemicals. You can relate it to a hazard if you wanted to. You can relate it to a compliance. So you would use the compliance register and upload code of practice. I'll give you an example. If you had a forklift, you would actually upload the code of practice relating to forklifts, which you can get from Safe Work New South Wales or whatever, depending on what state you're in. And then you would actually go, I'm doing this checklist relating to this activity, relating to this forklift, relating to this compliance, relating to this policy. So yes, it relates also to your policy register. It relates literally to every single register inside your system. If you open this field, that creates the drop-down list. If you close the field, it's solely related to that item. Preferably, you would actually close that field because it limits the mistake of the employee. So you might have noticed, especially if you've been a client for some time, and I've noticed a lot of people on here have been, there's been lots of changes relating to this checklist feature, especially in the last couple of months, and there's a lot more coming. So it's a new look when you're actually building the checklist. So if I actually come down to the bottom, let's add something to this item. So when you want to add an item, you're going to select add item, the green button. Then you're going to edit the item. And then you have a choice of all these features now, and there's more coming. So previously, we only had heading, question, text box. But we've added checkbox, radio button. You can build a drop-down list for a survey. You can actually have a range field now. We've actually put this new text editor in there because people want to, upload pictures and that kind of stuff. You've got a percentage field. You've got a money field. Other kind of things that we actually got coming inside the system is we're going to actually have a number field. Basically we're going to have that you can say, this is the employees that's going to be doing the checklist, and they can select their name. And so if you've got, let's just say you've got 50 employees and only 5 of them and other people are going to be doing this checklist because they're the people driving the forklift, you can actually select just their names. So they only have to select from 5 names instead of 50. So you've got a date picker field coming in here, and also a time field going in there. So there's all these new fields going inside the system. We're even actually, then that's going to happen in the next 30 days. And then after that, in 60 days, we're adding a feature where you can actually upload a picture. You'll be able to actually upload a picture which you can actually draw on, like a map, and say, this is where you're going, this is what it is. So that's going to be an absolutely fantastic feature. You'll even be able to add a risk matrix if you wanted to. So this checklist feature is going to the next level and literally becoming like its own product in itself. So we do actually have some other features coming later this year where a lot of people have actually gone, I want to be notified when this checklist has actually been done or hasn't been done. It already kind of does when it's been done. It'll email alert you. But imagine being able to be notified that this checklist hasn't been done by a certain date or time. So you've set it that this checklist needs to be done at 10 a.m. in the morning. And if it hasn't been done, it will actually email alert you. We're putting a new register inside the system where you'll be able to see what items have had a pre-start or checklist undertaken on that item, or what actually is outstanding. So we've had a couple of clients who are car dealerships, and they got hoist. They wanted to know, hang on a sec, I want to make sure that that pre-start checklist was actually done on that hoist by this time. And if it hasn't been done, I want to know. Well, they'll be able to go to a report and see which hoists have actually done the pre-start checklist at that time and which hoists are still outstanding, just by one register. So certain things like that, but let's go through what it actually does now. So as mentioned, you can actually relate it to a heading, question, text box, and so forth. But let's just select the main one that people would select, the yes/no question. You can enter the item, or you can enter subtext underneath that question, telling them what they need to answer or whatever it may be. Now, this has been, again, lots of requests for this kind of process, whereas previously, no brought up an action, a hazard, or maintenance automatically, and it was mandatory. You couldn't get out of it. A lot of people have gone, yeah, well, I don't want it to actually open up the action, the hazard, the maintenance. I just want them to select no, and nothing happens. So that's why we've actually developed in this way. So if I select this icon here, I can actually say that, yeah, I do want the action, hazard, maintenance to be on the yes field, not just the no field. So it's or I want no action to take place. And can the user skip putting in an action? Yeah, they can skip it. Or no, they've got to put in an action if you actually select this here. So it's up to you now to actually tailor your checklist to your means. So that's by listening to our clients over the years and going, yeah, well, hang on a sec, we don't want them to enter something like that, and we don't want it to be mandatory. So you can make it like that. And the same feature you can actually do for no. So it's up to you, when you build your question, if they select yes or no, what you want them to achieve. And again, NA might be you put an action or comment like why kind of thing. So you can do it like that. If there's no action and you want to skip it, that's why these fields have been put in here. So you can actually add an action and hazard and maintenance and add a upload photo to this question. So therefore they can select yes or no. It won't automatically put the drop down action hazard maintenance box there, but you can actually make it that they can actually select that. I'll show you how that works. And you can actually make this mandatory. Just cancel that. And I'll just basically go up to the top here. So you've got all these different options that you can actually do here. So if I come down and I select cancel, I'm going to select view. Let's see what all these options do. As I mentioned, if you open up that field, that's what this creates. Later on, we're going to be creating a feature in the machines with the categories and all that kind of stuff, but that'll be another kind of upgrade into this into this checklist feature later on, where in the plant item you would have seen we've actually added categories there, so you'll be able to add categories in this checklist feature, but that's coming early next year. So we've built our question. We've made this mandatory, hence why there's a red asterisk here. If I select yes here or no here, see how there's no automatic action, maintenance, or hazard there, but I've added an action and maintenance button here, as well as a photo field. But if I select no here, it automatically brings back what it was like before. It's mandatory that they have to enter it. So but I'll just select NA there. You've got tick boxes. So they can actually select multiple tick boxes if they wish. Yes, obviously you've got your text box. You've got your drop-down list. So you can actually create a drop-down list, and we'll go back and show you how we're going to do each one of these as well. So I can create a drop-down list here. It's a great way to do a survey of some sort. This is a great feature that I asked Michael to put in. You can actually do a rating. And we'll build one of those, so you can actually make that out of 100 if you wanted to, or whatever score you wanted to. A lot of people have gone, they want to have a percentage rate. So now you can actually do a percentage rate. I can enter text here, but I can also upload a photo. Now, the photo won't come out in the PDF or the Excel spreadsheet yet, but we're working on it to actually make it exported into the PDF later on. So remembering you can use this file here to upload a photo anyway. So this is mainly kind of text. And then if you do want to upload a photo, put a photo field, upload field, so you can actually add that to there. So and then you've also got a lot of people wanted a dollar field, money field. Sign on screen. Some of the upgrades coming in here. Some also people have gone, well, you've got your signature there, but who is that person? So it's going to be they'll be able to select their name and then sign and then add, select their name.
Do you want to just jump off this device? You're going to turn that, please.
So you'll be able to select their name and turn and do that, because it'll make it very, very powerful then. So it's so really, really powerful feature. If I go to the log, the system, obviously the checklist feature has a log, highlights who actually completed it last, time and date. As mentioned before, if you've built a template and you've got multiple items, if you want to actually do this checklist again and close the machine field or close the activity field or close the chemical field, you can go duplicate checklist. When you duplicate a checklist, you've got to make sure that the checklist name is different. So let's just say, for an example, you're relating this chemical safety procedure, and then you can actually just put whatever it may be, the chemical in here. So, and then you would actually come down here, and then you would actually submit an update. So every single time you duplicate a checklist, you must change that checklist name slightly. So obviously, if you're duplicating checklist and this field was closed, or actually we're relating to a chemical in this point in time, So it you would actually select the item and then close that field, copy, and then do it like that, duplicate, and then you can duplicate it as many times as you wish. So if I'll select edit, obviously a heading's the same, it'll actually just come out as a heading, but you could actually put subtext underneath that heading. Please make sure you actually do this checklist, da, 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 da. If I actually select this item here, so this is the yes, no, as it normally is. And as I mentioned, you can actually change if you want the drop downs and so forth. So you would have seen that there was no action here and there's no action here. Hence, when I select yes or no, it didn't bring up an action, the normal action, maintenance, or hazard fields. But I could add them down here. So it gives you that flexibility now of doing a whole wide variety of ways. Let's select edit next to this one and see why this one brought down the action box. If I select no, because I've actually selected action, hazard, maintenance, and I've selected, basically, yes, they can skip it, or I can select no, they can't skip it. So it's mandatory that they've got to actually complete it. If I did like that, I wouldn't actually have these fields down here. Totally up to you. So it's go down to the next one, tick boxes. So you can actually add your tick boxes here, and all you're doing is adding an item and it's creating your tick boxes. So if you want to delete it, you can. You can actually, again, if they select a certain tick box, you can add the action, maintenance, and so forth to that tick box if you wanted to. And again, you can actually add it down here if you wanted to as well. So this one is kind of mandatory. They've got to fill it. This one down here is where they can actually do it automatically, or you're actually asking them to do it if it's needed. Text box, well, it hasn't changed. It's the same as it's always been. Let's go to the drop-down list, which is something I really like, and I've asked Michael to put in, and he's done a great job with it. So you can actually select a drop-down list, put some text, put some subtext. Now you can put numbers, you can put text, you can do all these different things, but all you're doing is literally creating your own drop-down list. It's a great way for you to do a survey or quality or whatever it may be that you want to do. Again, every single time you see this field, if they select one of these items, you can make it mandatory that they need to enter an action or hazard, whatever it may be. So it might be a rating out of 1 to 10, and if it's 6, you might actually go, well, if it's 6, or 6 or lower, you might add an action, so they have to enter an action in there. What's wrong with the machine? So even though we do have a feature coming inside the system where if it is a certain rating, it will automatically email alert a person. So that's coming in stage 4 of this checklist builder. This is at the moment, this is stage 2. So then you've got the rating. So you can actually go minimum, so set this as 1. Then you're looking at minimum date range and maximum date range value, submit. So now that is basically out of 1 of 100 if we looked at the view section. Again, the same kind of process works with this kind of field. So you got percentage, and then really you're just setting that like that. It's pretty basic. The text editor is very much, you would have known that we've actually got this kind of feature in the policy section. We've got it in the induction section. So it's a third-party software. So as I mentioned at the moment, if you do upload a picture in the view section, in this section here, it won't come out in your PDF yet, but we're working on it. Mainly it's for text. Remembering, if you did want, say, for example, to add a picture, you would actually just have it here and add those, submit, and it adds those features there. So the flexibility now is, before it was just a heading, checkbox, and text box. Now you have the ability to manipulate that checklist feature in a multiple kind of ways. So, and there you've got your money field and date field. Now let's come down to the bottom here. You can set a review date for continual improvement. Totally up to you if you want to do that. It's non-mandatory. This is the person responsible for the review. It will not email alert this person on that review date unless you've actually set up an email alert in here. So the alert in the checklist alert in the alert register is solely for the review of the checklist. It's not to notify that it's been done. It's basically to notify you that it needs review. Go down to the bottom. Do you want to be notified that this checklist has been completed? So if you select this here, it's automatically going to email alert this person every single time that this checklist has been done. As mentioned, we're bringing in a feature where you can actually be notified if the checklist has not been done by a certain time. So you might set that this checklist has to be done by 10 a.m. And if it hasn't been done, it will email alert you that it hasn't been done. It's going to be a great feature. It's coming within the next 60 days. So you can actually get notified that this has, if you've built it via the to-do builder and they haven't done it, you can get notified. But this new feature will really make this bit obsolete because it'll just make it automatic, and it's just going to be a great feature. And a lot of people are wanting it. Do you want to make it public? Absolutely, you want to make it public. So public means that when you scan this QR code, it's going to automatically bring up this checklist on your mobile phone, and you don't have to enter your username and password. So if it's something that everyone can use, you would actually leave your, so the general public can scan this QR code, you would actually not put your employee list on the form. You would leave that off. If it's something just within your company, you would actually go yes, because now they can actually select their name from a drop-down list. And do you want a signature box? Yeah, you do. So, and then you can submit. So as mentioned, and well, as you probably already know, the system automatically creates a QR code for that checklist. We've made that public. Please note, if you've actually built a checklist and you haven't made it public and you've printed out your QR code and you placed it around your machinery, and then you go, oh, it's going to be so much easier if the employees scan that QR code and make it public, because then it opens up the checklist without them entering username and password. It is a different QR code. You're going to have to print out the QR code and replace that QR code. So the QR code for public is different than the QR code for private. Please note that. So it's you would print that out and you place that around and so forth. So when a checklist has been completed, it'll automatically come in here into the log, time and date. If I actually select on the PDF, it automatically turns that into a document. Now, if I uploaded a photo via that upload feature, it would actually be there. If you're going to do it via that new kind of text kind of feature that we've, Forola kind of feature that we've put in there, the photo won't be there yet. So the best thing for you to do, you'll put the text there, but it won't put the photo. So put a upload photo field if you're going to use that new feature. And you'll actually see how it's actually putting all the different things in here. Now, the reason why we're creating these fields like this with drop-down fields instead of just having it like a text field, well, it's a good reason. It's a good method to our madness. We're actually purchasing this third-party software in the coming month. And then what I'll be doing building this just like I did with the WHS Helper, where I'll be building a whole series of reports. Now, because we've actually made those checklist fields certain kind of fields, we're creating a database of that data, then we can actually use this feature here to develop reports relating to all the checklists that you've actually done. It's going to be very, very powerful. And the big thing about this here, I'm going to be building so many templates for you. Michael and I will be building templates for you. But then you're looking at, you'll be able to actually build your own templates as well. So you might not want to see, like at the moment, the current reports in relating to the incident section and the hazard section, you might go, yeah, but I don't want to see those reports. I want to see my own individual reports. You'll be able to do that. So that new third-party software relating to the reports is really going to take reporting to the next level. So you might go, you know what, I actually also body parts and I want to have this, what sites, what thing, all these different things. You'll be able to do that kind of stuff in this new kind of process. When's that coming in? Well, hopefully it's going to be in before Christmas, so you get a bit of a Christmas present. So it's but you're looking at the new form builder should be in the system within the next 8 weeks, and then you're looking at the upgrades to these checklist feature will be again in the next 2 months inside the system there, as well as the third stage of that checklist builder will be in there by the end of the year, which will make this an extremely powerful tool. So when a checklist has been completed by an employee, if you've actually selected basically the employee field where they actually ask themselves to select their name. So basically, if I go view history, it will actually be saved here. But if you actually open, if you've selected that they're going to enter it by a QR code and they scan the QR code and they don't actually select their name from a drop-down list, they just enter text, well, obviously it can't be here because it can't recognize who they are. So if you do want the checklist to be saved in the employee's history, you've just got to make sure you do either two things. You either actually make, so for an example, with the employee field here, you open this field here so they can select their name, or down the bottom, if I come down here and go, yes, do you want your employee list on, do you want to make it public? Do you want your employee list on the form? Yes. So they select their name. And if they select their name, then that way it'll recognize who they are and it'll put it in their view section. So it with the people that just asked the chat question, I'll answer the question. Oh, that's you, Michael. That's not coming in the next 60 days. Oh, here we go. So
you keep promising things. I've given you a list of when everything's actually going out. You're saying,
I'm reading off the list.
This will be done in the next 50 days. It says started after 60 days. And I'm just sitting here dying. And yeah, look, guys, Michael, these will be rolled out.
They're coming for Christmas, Christmas presents. So it's, but yes. So, I mean, we've had a lot of requests for the checklist feature. We're doing it and adding that. This is something we've actually recently put inside the system here as well, is we've built ISO 45001 inside the audit builder, built a whole series of checklists relating to that kind of data. And then what you can actually do is go through here and relate, are you complying or conformant, all that kind of stuff relating to ISO 45001. It's a great feature to do. If you do want that, you'll need to contact us. There'll be a slight cost for us to build it in there inside your system, but it's not a large cost. But it's a great way for you if you do want to get 45001 kind of compliance to show that that's what you're doing. So anyway, so I hope you like that checklist feature and upgrades relating to that feature. I'll just say, for example, a couple other things you mightn't know that the checklist feature is related to. If I actually come to the plant and equipment item and go publish register, and if I go checklist report, publish, you can actually have a view of how many times the checklist has been done to a certain machine via that plant item. But as mentioned, we're putting this new register inside, a new feature inside the checklist register, where you'll be able to print a report to actually see which checklist, how many has been done in a date range. This is also going to have a date range coming soon. So and also what checklists have been done and what checklists have not been done in the time frame that you've actually selected. And then with the new reporting section, you'll be able to build reports relating to you know, how many checklists were done this month compared to how many checklists were done last month, all that kind of stuff. So well, I hope you like that kind of new features. If you do have any ideas relating to the checklist feature, good time to actually throw them in now, because we want to make it pretty powerful and pretty popular. And you're looking at, we're constantly upgrading this section here because, as I mentioned before, it is the most used feature inside the system. So if you're not using it, you need to be using it. You don't just have to use it for safety either. You can use it for a whole wide variety of reports. Like, say, for example, I've got a couple of race clubs. They actually use it to check the stock in their bar fridge. So they got a QR code, they scan the QR code. Have you got enough VB? Have you got enough this? And if they don't, the action is, well, you know, sends off to the manager straight away, as it does. When an action is assigned by a checklist, you'll email alert the person to say, hey, we need to put more stock into the fridge. So they're not just using it for safety. Other people use it for HR purposes, to onboarding. A lot of people are using it for onboarding, even though we are kind of building a HR process inside the system sometime next year. So because I've got a HR system just sitting on the side, and we're going to build some of the features inside here to take it to the next level as well. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate. You know, you can actually book yourself in for a meeting or a training session via the book demonstration, as in that's my diary. As you know, there's no charge for that kind of process. And yeah, you know, anytime you can actually book yourself in there. It's a great way for you to actually get as much out of the system as you wish. Well, hope everyone's good. I know I'm over my COVID kind of rubbish. So I sound a little bit better than I did last month or the month before. So yeah, take care and thank you for attending.